Okay, my name is Frank Morales. I grew up in the public housing. I'm an Episcopal priest. We house, a lot has been said here, really great stuff, and I just want to follow up on some of those comments by saying that we host a Network Partners program at All Souls Church at 115 and St. Nicholas Avenue on Wednesday nights, and we're getting ready to take on another group on Tuesday nights from 6 to 8. The Wednesday night program, it's 20 or so, 25 folks who come, men and women. They meet, and Thomas and Willard and the excellent facilitators that they have facilitate the program, in which they discuss all kinds of issues related to reentry, both emotional and physical material needs and all that sort of thing. The church, we provide a meal for folks at 6 when they first arrive, and interact and so forth. Some of our members in the church have become involved with the group and now are helping to facilitate and so forth. And it's a very valuable experience for them. And I highly recommend that those of you who have the space and the ability to take on a program such as this, by all means consider doing it. If you want to talk more personally about it, then please come find me at All Souls, 115th and St. Nicholas Avenue. It's not hard to find, and we can talk some more. When I was asked to speak, I thought about this question of the role of faith and so forth and so on, and I kind of blurted out in my mind and wrote out what was running through my mind at the time, and I just assumed read it. Some pages long, and what I have to say, I don't intend to offend anyone, but only to speak my heart as God has allowed me to speak. And I say that for me, Jesus brought good news to the poor in his demand to set the captives free from the cruel and inhuman system of incarceration, a system that typifies and symbolizes a society that rules by means of institutionalized violence, and whose penal system is a racist fraud and a twisted caricature of justice, a system that is simply about revenge or retribution, although even that is not quite true, in that the system is about a retribution that is not proportional to the crime. Take, for example, the vast majority of those incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses attempting to exist and survive within an environment that incubates and perpetuates violence. That is essentially an environment of institutionalized violence, an institution which promotes, by the way, the false view that it is the boldest that need to oversee the enslavement of the incarcerated, when in fact the truly bold are those sisters and brothers who attempt and thankfully often succeed in entering into the belly of the beast and bring humanity and elemental justice and love to the victims of this deathly system locked away inside, who boldly insist on their own humanity and demand the dignity accorded to all of God's children. Last Sunday, some of us Christian preachers following the gospel story of Jesus' raising of Lazarus from the dead spoke of the power to overcome the injustice of the wanton and sadistic violence directed against the innocent, the manipulated, the vulnerable, and those tracked from birth into the slaughterhouses we call prisons. It is a story about how we Christians and people of faith, of elemental and basic humanity, are called to care for and protect those violated, both in the ghetto prisons and in the maximum security and hellholes of high-tech metal and brick, maintained by those who just follow orders and who treat their brothers and sisters as though they were really that much different from them, when in fact they too are prisoners of a system that rewards their sadism with wages of sin, pitting them against their neighbors. Jesus said to set the captives free. I cannot rationalize that away. But given my inability to wave a magic wand and do so, I can only meet them on the outside and offer to the best of my ability the love and care, nurture and understanding that can help to undo the deep wounds of body, mind and soul that they have endured, and to offer a place of community, a meal and a coat against the ill winds of poverty and joblessness, a place to help heal and stabilize their lives, unburden their minds, but mostly to assure them that they are loved. And that is what the Network Partners program does, setting the captives free of the physical and emotional burdens of their past, the burdens of their suffering, their unfortunate choices and misunderstandings, and offer a helping hand. And as God loves them and seeks justice for them, I can only hope and pray that for those still within, whose freedom has been taken away, whose humanity is threatened each moment, and whose self-respect is under constant assault, that their faith can sustain them inside, that their confidence and trust that their Creator loves them, and that we love them, accords them the knowledge to know in their hearts that they are indeed valuable, worthy men and women for whom God demands justice and love, demands a dignified life conforming with the basic human right of us all not to be violated. And so I give credit, great credit to and applaud the work of organizations like the Network Partners and all their partners and allies and you assembled here who make it possible for Christians like myself and other communities of faith to do what we are called to do, to love our neighbors as ourselves, especially our less fortunate and victimized neighbors, and to someday actualize the possible, the necessary and the desirable, namely to dismantle the current system of so-called criminal justice in favor of a system that apprehends the actual criminals, those whose greed, coupled with racist and militarist logic, bring harm to millions, and whose white collar is stained with blood, and to build a society that replaces hateful, retributive justice with loving, restorative justice. And we can do what the Network Partners does, which is to restore the dignity and sense of hope to all our sisters and brothers coming home from behind the walls, and thereby allow us all to live out and make real the creed of our faith, the creed of life over death. And for this, I am thankful. Thank you.